I have pica, and I ate a piece of the Pyramid of Giza. If you know what pica is, then you know that many of us love to eat clay, rocks, dirt, charcoal, and things of that nature. I personally happen to like dry, earthy, and crunchy things. I grew up in the Californian desert, so I've always had a great selection of rocks and minerals to snack on. I've learned a lot about different minerals and how to cure them by storing them in paper or cardboard containers, never plastic, so they'd retain a clean, earthy flavor, etc. The most interesting I've tasted was when I lived in Cairo. For me, selecting dirt and rocks to eat is an art form, as I'm actually very OCD and won't just pick things up off the ground or in public spaces and eat them. I'll find quarries and dunes and sites far from human traffic and try to select the most untouched pieces I can find. In this case, I was behaving much like a tourist and took a tour of all of the tombs and museums and pyramids, traveling by camelback. One of my final stops was the Sphinx and the Great Pyramids. Legally, you're not actually allowed to touch the pyramids or get too close, but I wasn't having that. It just looked so dusty, red, tasty, and I couldn't resist running right up to the far side of one of the pyramids, out of sight of the police and tour guides, and grabbing handfuls of rocks and dirt and shoving them into the pockets of my cargo pants. I didn't grab anything from ground level, though. I actually climbed up a few levels to areas far out of public reach before I started pocketing anything. I waited until I was home before I tried it, and Lord, it was so good. The rocks were hard and dusty, but could be nibbled and turned slightly softer like clay once wet. They smelled earthy and fresh once they scrubbed the outer layers off. At the time, I hadn't tried anything like it, so the memory of the taste has stuck with me for years at this point. As old as the pyramids are, a part of me wondered if I'd feel sick or weird afterward. But I was totally fine. That was in 2018. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, I was road tripping through the Arizona desert and stopped to collect some rocks from the side of a rock outcropping. As I'm sampling the different tastes and textures, I realize it's familiar, and my mind immediately flashed back to the pyramids. Limestone! And not just any limestone. For some reason, those rocks from Arizona had that same weathered flavor as the pyramids did. Not all limestone tastes the same. And my heart did little black flips once I realized where I knew it from. I know this story is probably boring and irrelevant to most, but for me it's something I like to chuckle to myself about. I mean, how many people can say they ate one of the 7 wonders of the world? Catfish women on dating apps, and pretend I'm a good-looking guy. I've had no success with women my entire life. I'm 33 years old, very ugly, went bald at 17, I'm 5'2", fuck my genetics. I have a skin condition, got a fucked up head shape. I've never received a yes to a date, or had a first kiss or anything. I'm completely undateable and unwanted, no matter what I did and tried to fix about myself. I've received 0 matches on dating apps that were from real accounts, and one day I decided to just make a fake one with an attractive guy. Within 15 minutes, I already had more success in girls talking to me than I ever did in 33 years. Now I make sure never to invite them somewhere, and I try to match with girls far away, so it's infeasible in the first place. But in a way it feels nice to finally have some positive attention, no matter how fake it is. I wish I could have this for real, but there's nothing I can do about it when I'm getting rejected every time. The pain is too much to take for this long. I've been torturing my girlfriend for 4 years. My girlfriend is Arab. We live in an Arab country. She fell in love with me, but I only liked her for her beauty. She's stunning. Even after everything I did to her, still beautiful. The thing started 5 years ago. I met her, we dated, she fell in love with me, I proposed. Her parents refused me. In Arab countries, you have to get the parents' permission to marry their daughter. They said I had a bad reputation because I went to jail years ago. So I talked her into running away with me. She loved me so much that she said yes, even though that she could get really huge punishment from her people. But she did it anyway. She went through hell to be with me, and now we live in my place, 2 floors and a basement. 4 years ago, I slapped her face, and she just looked at me and didn't say anything. I tried to slap her again, and she only looked away, trying to avoid my slap. And that when it all started, I kept hurting her once every month, and then it became once every week, and then it's daily. I do all kinds of things to her, and she only cries and asks why, which made me more satisfied. I didn't love her before, but when I started hurting her, it made me love her so much. I really enjoy doing this, and I know it's so fucked up. Last week I locked her down the basement and I took the pulp off so she don't use any light cause I know she's afraid of the dark. And next day when I came to wake her up, she was sleeping, and when she saw me, she ran to me and cried on my lap. I fell for her even more. I know she wants me to stop, but I can't. And she can't get back to her people cause they'd kill her knowing she's not virgin anymore. She's Muslim, you can't have sex before marriage. One day I overheard her praying to God that I stop hurting her, and she was praying for my wellness too. I really felt bad for her, but I kept going. And I don't know how to stop. Help me. Or her help her, I even got my homie included. He held her hands while I was hitting her with my belt. He wanted to watch. It was disgraceful for her. I need help for her sake. I poisoned my stepdad's beer with laundry detergent. My first stepfather became violently ill after I snuck some dishwashing detergent in his beer. After he would beat my mother, he would drink beer on the couch and watch NFL. He is the laziest and the most evil person. I don't know why my mother is still with him. Due to his drinking, he would frequently forget to let his dog outside, who as a result, would poop all over on the carpet inside. He's such a menace to our family. I was 6 years old. If I wet the bed, which I did often at that time, my punishment was no food for the day and picking up the fresh or petrified dog poop with my bare hands. He gave me such cruel punishments that I will never forget. It is like a scar on my childhood. He recovered after about a week of what he thought was the flu, and our family got some peace for the week free from SA and DV. I stabbed my classmate in 4th grade but got away with it because she lied when was asked about it. We were seatmates and good friends, so it was normal for us back then to just go through each other's stuff. But I forgot that I put my diary in my backpack the night before because I was hiding it from my brother. She finds it and proceeds to read it until she reaches the part where I wrote about my top 3 crushes with the whole ranking and writing the top one as the winner to my heart. I was busy taking notes from the chalkboard, and she was only supposed to borrow a pen from me, so I was oblivious. Until I heard it, the familiar writing was announced to the whole class. I was flushed with embarrassment and couldn't contain my anger, so I tried to grab my diary, but she wouldn't let me reach it, so I just went and stabbed her near the elbow downwards. The wound was long because I dragged the pen, so there was a lot of blood. Our teacher was in another room, so our classmates went to get her. I was staying by my seatmate's side, finally realizing what I had done and panicking. Teacher came and immediately rushed her to the school clinic. I was so afraid of the repercussions of what I did, but I remember being really surprised that when our teacher came back, I wasn't told to come to the principal's office or even just taken aside for a little chat. Nothing. Not even my classmates told me. After finishing my notes, I asked our teacher for permission to visit her in the clinic, and she said, "Okay." I went to the clinic to say I was really sorry, but I stopped walking and hid behind the door when I saw that her mom was there. Her mom was asking her about what happened, and I was shocked that she said she was just playing around with some of our classmates, then mentioned a classmate who tripped and accidentally stabbed her with a pen. I felt so guilty that I ran to the bathroom and just cried. When I came back, they were gone, and so were her things in our classroom. Next day, our teacher announced that my seatmate was transferring to another school. I put fish tank water in her coffee maker. When I was in college, I had the worst roommate ever. No respect for privacy, noise, or my food in the fridge. What had really tipped the iceberg for me was the day she started yelling at me for the way our room smelled. Told me I needed to be showering at least once a day. I wasn't the problem. It was her stupid microwave meals that made our place smell like shit. I didn't have enough balls back then to tell her to fuck off. So what did I do? The next time I had to clean out the water for my betta fish's tank, I dumped the semi-gross water into her fancy Keurig coffee maker. She made coffee in that thing for the next week until I moved out. Guess she is still drinking from that coffee maker still makes me happy. I hated her so much. Girl on the elevator might have been drugged, and I did nothing. Almost 1 year ago on a cruise, a girl and a man got on the same elevator as me. I say girl, but I really don't know how old she was. The man looked like he could have been her father. She was wobbly, and the man she got on with was holding her arm to keep her from wandering around. She looked very zoned out and wasn't saying a word. I got worried thinking about asking her if she was okay, even though I knew she wasn't. She was so out of it. The guy she was with looked very annoyed, as if this happens a lot. I had no idea what to do. It looked bad, but I didn't say or do anything because there are so many cameras around, no one would do that, right? And nobody else on the elevator seemed concerned. I feel so ashamed that I let the fear of being wrong and causing a scene stop me from potentially stopping someone from being raped. Please stay safe out there. Edit. Thank you to everyone that commented. It was nice to hear my point of view on this. I'm sure I'll always hold shame with the memory, but I will try to let go. I spit in my stepmom's coffee every morning for 10 years. My father cheated on my mother with this girl who was his colleague. As soon as my mother left, she moved into our family home. This woman had no love for me and my sister, or for her own daughter. She hardly spoke to us. She insulted us. She went through our things and stole from us. In her eyes, we were nothing, subhuman beings. She made us eat expired things while she went to restaurants or to friends' houses with my dad. She made us buy our shower gels, our shampoos, our toothpaste. We had to ask her for toilet paper, even our menstrual products. When my father went away, she starved us. She and my father would make long lists of household chores for us and tell us that homework came later, or that we had to get up earlier before going to school to clean up. Every evening we had to prepare their breakfast for the next morning, even have a dose of coffee beans already in the cup. And every morning we got up earlier than them so that our tasks were completed. So every morning for more than 10 years, after pouring hot water into the cup, I spit in it, and she never knew.